Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Jeffrey TV.
What's up, boys and girls? My name is Jeffrey Mitchell, and I ain't got time for the intro to do this whole little rendezvous thing. I just want to get touch and talk and feel you right now because things are on my mind and have been on my mind. First of all, what I will do is I will do a thank you, happy birthday video later. But right now, my energy isn't in that place. I understand that when you're pushing a narrative to stay on point. I understand if you want to get your message out, you must stay on point and just bang the message and bang that narrative. What this does, though, is make your point or your narrative simple, and you kind of want to keep it simple. So if you're protesting, or if you're fighting for something, or if you're trying to bring awareness to something, it's good to stay on point and stay focused on that one thing and keep it simple. Unfortunately, sometimes to implement and to get the change that you're looking for, you must make the conversation more complicated than just a simple narrative. Putting a point out there or a visual or a picture or a video to get everybody emotional. Get them out there. Get them passionate. For black people to make the strides and gains that they desire and that they're protesting for and they want, the conversation needs to get more complicated. And right now, passions are too high to do that. I understood that a couple of days ago. I understood that a few days ago when the whole Greg Floyd thing started. No, not when it started. I knew it was too hot, and then it kind of went up and it came down. But the whole time I knew I'm just gonna keep my opinion to myself. I'm gonna wait till all the evidence comes in. I even say I use that as an excuse. I'll just wait for all the evidence to come in, which we all should do anyway. Which again probably goes against the point of the passion, the narrative, and pushing that visual out there to get everybody fired up and motivated, which it has done. It worked. The whole world is motivated now. The whole world is motivated and moving. You got white people out there crying and telling you they sorry, and strangers coming up to you and thinking you're okay, and I can't stand that. I don't want that. I'm not a victim. I don't want to be that victim. I don't want them to see me as being a victim or something they should give compassion to. I don't want to work in the workplace with white people thinking that's who I am or that's what I need. I want equality. I want to take the bullshit that they give out to themselves. I wanted the playing field to be just any way they want it. I'm not asking for any compensation or handicap making or level balance or anything. For me, that's not what I want. The way I was brought up, the situation I was brought up, the position I am in life right now. I don't need that, and I don't want it. I want to be on an equal playing field. I don't want any handicap given to me or any kind of extra boost. I don't want a booster seat. I don't want it. I don't want it. So, when Candace Owens' video came out, first of all, just let me say that I agree with it 100%. In fact, I agree with it so much that, I was impressed. Is this something on my TV? I was impressed at how well she laid her point out. It was absolutely exactly what I was thinking. In fact, she took what I was thinking and took it to another level and articulated it better than I could at that time. From the very first point she made, she was saying it was just too hot. And I agree. It was just too hot. It's just best to not even say anything right now. Plus, it's almost disrespectful in a way, in a weird, humanly social way, to come out with my opinion when I knew a lot of people on my timeline and the whole world is compassionate and basically grieving. For whatever reason, these people are grieving. So I knew, it's just best just to, kick back, watch the riots. And I say I watched the riots, not the protests, because the protests aren't on TV. The riots are. KTLA and CNN and all the news networks aren't showing the protests. They're showing the riots. And the riots are more entertaining than the protests. And I'm just part of that cycle. I'm part of that TV revolution, TV watching cycle. That's not the point. So when she said that she wanted to wait because tensions were too high. She pulled me in. That pulled me in immediately. Then I had to wait and see what she had to say. And this comes back to, again, in discussion of these things, we need to get more complicated. It needs to be more developed. It needs to be more detailed. We need to be able to have serious conversation, deep conversation. And for that, a lot of times passion needs to be pushed to the side. We can't be emotional, but we can't be passionate. For in my idea, for real things to get done for black people, a deep discussion has to be made. And there's going to have to be things done on both sides. Yes, black people are not completely the victim. They have been victimized, but they are not the victim. Black people do have a responsibility in this. You just can't, it's hard to look at that video and to think that it is purely 100% not the victim's fault. And again, saying that, which complicates this more, that video may not be the best example to push the narrative of police brutality. The instances that they use to fight police brutality, which is, I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm not saying it doesn't. Right now, I'm not saying it does exist. I'm not saying police brutality doesn't exist. I'm not saying, trying to say police aren't racial or not racial. I'm not saying that. I'm saying to fix that or to address that, the examples that are put in our face may not be the best examples, but they're examples that's working emotionally on the world and on people, and people resonate, and it's working. It's working for CNN. It's working for Don Lemon. It's working for MSNBC. It's working for them. It's brought everybody in. It's brought the whole freaking world in. So it worked. But we have to go beyond that emotional plea to have a real discussion. And we have to actually sit down with black people and say, look, could you do? Would you do? Can you do? Should you have done? Is there anything? Whether it's justified or not, that conversation still needs to be had. No, not justified. Whether it's relevant or justified, whatever word, the conversation still needs to be had, just so we can at least acknowledge and dismiss it. Even if we all agree, nope, black people are not to blame it here at all. Nope, not at all, not at all. And somebody needs to argue the point, is there anything, I mean, it all can't fall, to fix this, it all can't fall on Whitey. In fact, to make it seem like it's all Whitey's fault is going to deepen the white guilt that these people already have and making them even more sickening to be around. It's going to do that. And you think Trump is going to lose? Basically, from what Candace Owens said, which is going to get out there, which I'll go back to later, is going to get out there. It's going to energize Trump's base like you have never seen. Joe Biden ain't got a chance. Anyway, as far as Candace Owens' narrative, when I watched it, I thought it was powerful, on point, beautifully delivered, articulate. I agree with it. Probably 99%. I'm not going to say 100% because I'm not sure, but pretty much all of it. And I knew that people were going to watch it. In fact, I heard somebody else that posted on their timeline about Candace Owens say, oh, they're like, I'm not even going to give it any attention. I'm not going to even acknowledge it. I'm not going to do this. They just dismissed it. That's how I knew she had said something. So I Googled it. No, I take that back. That's not even how I knew she said something. I saw that she had said something, and then my girl sent me the video, just to watch. And I was like, somebody was talking about that today. And they just dismissed it. They didn't address any of the points. And that's my point again about having a complicated conversation. Of all the retorts and all the comments back and all the rebuttals to what Candace said, none of them addressed the point. None of them addressed any of her points. They called her a coon. They talked about her what she is, what she was, what she's done before, her hair, her blah, 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 everything. None of them addressed the points. And for me, the point was this. When she said that black people were the only people who exalt the lowest denominator of their race, that's what I've been trying to say for a long time, and I couldn't find the words to say it. That's exactly what I wanted to say. And she just put it in words that I can understand in a basic soundbite. Black people are the only race that exalts and exonerates and raises the lowest denominator of their race. No other race does that. That's one point. Forget who she is, what she's done. Argue that point. Is that true or not? Number two, is the evidence she presented to Greg Floyd been in jail for 5 times, been to prison 5 times, and is the evidence or is the claim that she made that he pointed a gun at a pregnant girl's belly, is that true or false? That needs to be determined. Is that true or false? That's just the first 2 points. I'll just start with those 2 points. Forget who she is, what she said, whatever. Start with that. Do black people take and exalt the lowest denominator of their race? And by lowest denominator, I will say somebody who's been in prison 5 times, somebody who pointed a gun at a pregnant woman's body, another black woman, drove the getaway car, was on drugs. That's another thing, the autopsy, whatever, we have to fact check. It's not that simple. We just can't watch the video and say they're wrong. Something happened before we saw that video. I'm sure the police just didn't walk over there, slam him to the ground, and then start kneeling on his neck. Something had to happen. I'm not saying what. I'm not saying George Floyd did anything wrong. I'm not saying anything. I'm saying I didn't see what happened yet, and I would like to, or I would even want to wait to. We all should wait until we see that. I understand the narrative about police brutality. I get it. That needs to be abolished. That needs to be addressed. That definitely needs to be addressed. And this is the way that seems to be working with the whole Colin Kaepernick kneeling. This whole idea, this whole movement is working. Black Lives Matter. It's working. There's no doubt about that. But to push the conversation farther, we have to go beyond the emotion and have the deeper conversation along the lines of what Candace Owens and other people are saying. It's a two-way street. Black people have got to be able to open up, and we're going to need leaders in the black community to come in, leaders that if I'm still one of y'all, if I ain't kicked out yet, leaders that black people can come together with, or come together and form some kind of, not union, but some kind of collaboration. I mean, we do it on Twitter. Black people know how to, like if a dance come out or something funky, there's some cultural things that happen with black people that I don't understand how the hell that the people in New York are doing the same thing that the people in LA are doing. I mean, there's some kind of osmosis or news that I'm not seeing, but I go from New York to LA and it's a commonality 2,000 miles away from people who have never met each other before. That may be something spiritual or spooky about black people. Hey, don't write me up. Send me to HR for saying the word spooky. I meant like, ooh. I mean like, ESP or supernatural, metaphysical. There may be something going on with black people that they can do. I've seen it. I've seen it too many times. I've seen things that I can't explain it. I don't know how they do it. I'm sure white people do it too, but I've seen it firsthand. Black people do some stuff. My grandmother and them have thought of things and does stuff that I was like, how did you figure it? How? We need to come together and find a connection or cohesiveness or a group or whatever. I can't think of the word right now, to uplift ourselves from the inside. Whitey ain't gonna do it for us. We need to uplift ourselves from the inside and have this heavy, deep conversation with ourselves. And we need to gain control and discipline of ourselves, regardless of what Whitey is doing. It doesn't matter. It's not hard to stay out of prison. In fact, it's hard to go to prison. You have to work to go to prison. Too many of us are going to prison. Too many of us are being exalted and being praised because of acts that probably happened because they were involved in that element. When I was brought up, we knew to stay away from it. We were taught to stay the hell away from it. We knew what it was. It was pointed out to us. Sure, I had a different situation. I had a mother, father at home. I get it. I went to a good school. I knew where my next meal was coming from. My daddy came home every day after work. I knew that I had to do my homework. I was going to get my butt kicked. I knew I had the discipline. I had a family. We traveled every summer. I was exposed to things. But that comes from lineage. And lineage falls back onto the black people. Victim or not, slavery or not, whatever he did to you, brought you over here, stripped you this, did that, it's now your responsibility, regardless of how it happened, to get your lineage together. It may not be your generation, but you need to start putting steps together for the next generation so that when that next child is born into a stable household with certain goals and strategies, whatever strategies they are, that you feel can support that child and raise that child to think and to assimilate or not assimilate or just to be successful in society, whatever successful means to you in society. And maybe many of you are. Maybe many of you are raising your kids to be successful in the society that you know. Maybe, I'm saying maybe if you come from a neighborhood that's full of gangs and stuff, you raise your child to be successful and to deal with gangs. That's the only thing you know. That's the only thing you probably can tell them. School, forget it. Your school ain't gonna help you. Being able to walk these streets is. And that's what you instill in your child. And that is where it gets sticky, and that's where the complicated conversation needs to happen. Because I cannot tell anybody or anything what to do or how to do it. I cannot do that. There is no universal goal of what we all should do. There's no universal goal of where we're going or how we're gonna get there. So there's no way I can tell anybody how they should raise their kids, what they should raise their kids. But what I can do is criticize, critique, or maybe even ask for explanation of certain actions and strategies that they do in raising their children, or their logic or their philosophy. I always have the right, everybody and all of us have the right to deeply question another person's philosophy, ideas, and strategy. I would never tell anybody to stop doing anything. I would never tell Black Lives Matter. I would never tell them white girl, bunny, and rainbows girls to stop crying over a black man they don't know, or some police brutality that never affects them. I would never tell anybody to stop anything. I wouldn't even tell the Klan to stop. Nothing. Hate groups, Nazi, whatever, whoever they are. Do what you do. It's impossible to tell people to stop. Number one, that doesn't work. It doesn't work, because as soon as you tell them to stop, that's just going to embolden them, and it's supposed to. It's supposed to make them go harder when you tell them not to. So I just don't do it. You just do you. Do you. And like the capitalistic market, let the market take effect. If white people don't want to sell to black people, let them. See how their business continues from that. See how if other white people say, well, I'm not going to, patronize that because they don't do that. Or black people, I'm not going to do this. Let it settle. You can't legislate good behavior. I heard that on the bus one time. So I can't tell people what to do. The only thing I can do is question their strategies and their doctrine and the way they are trying to accomplish what they think they're trying to accomplish. How long have I been talking? Oh, I can't see it. I'm doing this different. Anyway, and that's the point. The conversation needs to get more complicated. Once these memorials are over and things settle down, we're going to end up going right back to the same place we were. We are going to end up going back to the same place we were because the conversation is not being furthered. It's not going any. We're going to raise up, peak emotionally. We're going to be on that edge. Sharpton's going to give a eulogy. It's just going to be, we're going to be all come together. You're going to see white people, black people holding hands and lighting candles and peaceful protesting. And the looters going to be taken care of, and Antifas and all that's going to be, but we'll be back in the same place we were before. But one thing I will say this though, Ferguson elected a black mayor. Now that's fucking progress. That is the kind of stuff I want to see. Me, personally, subjectively speaking, that's what it says right down here. Subjective experience. This is what we talk about, Jeffrey. That is progress to me. That is definite, detailed progress you can put your finger on. They elected a black mayor, and I guess and a black police chief. I'm not sure. That is what you're trying to do. That is advancing the narrative. That is advancing your ideal and where you want to go and how you want to get there. There are other points in Candace Owens' video that, if I remembered, I would hit upon. But right now, those are just the two. That we exalt the lowest denominator of our race. And did George Floyd actually commit the crimes that she said about prison, drugs, cocaine? Did the man have cocaine on him? And she said it fell on the ground. Did he point a gun at a pregnant woman's belly? Armed robbery. Strong arm robbery into somebody's house. Did he do that stuff? And if he did, why are we making him out to be this good person? I mean, I know why. It's to advance the narrative of police brutality. I get it. It's to advance the narrative of police brutality because the whole world's watching. But it's not gonna get us. It's not gonna get us to actually fix police brutality. This is my subjective idea. It's not. It's only gonna push us so far. Then the argument and the conversation drops off. It takes us up emotionally, and then that's where the conversation needs to be had. But we're too emotional to have it. We need to come down and have a deep intellectual conversation with primal emotional people who you mostly see out there on the streets now. There's not too much rational discussion going on. It's a lot of hollering and anger, and we get that part, and that's, I'm not faulting that. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying, but to advance we need to go farther. My name is Jerry Scott Mitchell, 1057. I think it says, how come I don't have the clock? I don't have the clock showing. Anyway, I just did this. I hope it came out. My name is Jeffrey. Swinging on y'all 2 times. Advance the narrative. We need to have the conversation.